What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I just wanted to leave some value out for you guys, and that's the mindset shift, right? About having some sort of growth mindset, right? And this is something that a lot of people often overlook, right? This is not commonly talked about, right? But I remember reading once back when I was working a job I hated, right? I was working a corporate job. I started like consuming books, right? I started listening to audiobooks. This is before I started reading. I was just consuming audiobooks. And a book that really impacted my life, right? A book that really changed the way I thought and made me realize what I want, like what I want my life to be, right? And that's The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And I've talked about this book in the past, but just to brush through it, basically, he talks about one thing that he talks about is having a growth mindset, right? He says having a growth mindset over a fixed mindset. And that little piece of information like really stood out with me in the book because it's basically in any sort of thing that you do, right? When it comes to success, fitness, any fitness journey, success journey, you want to play freaking violin and you want to get very good at it, you need to have a growth mindset for it. And why do I say that? Because most people, at least I've grown up, I know many of us have grown up around people that have fixed mindsets, right? Maybe they were born poor, so they think I'm going to be I don't even like saying it, but I'm poor because I was born poor, so I'm going to be poor forever, right? But really, that mindset fucks them up. It just ruins it, right? It it's going to keep them sitting where they are. It's going to keep them exactly where they are permanently, right? But because they have a fixed mindset. But if you have a growth mindset, you're going to think, how do I get more? How do like maybe I didn't come from the best circumstances, but how can I get myself out of this shitty circumstance that I'm in? How can I make it better for me and my family, right? Stuff like that. Even with fitness, right? Because I don't want to tell you this because I'm pretending to be some multimillionaire on YouTube like what everyone else is doing. I am just some guy working towards my goals, but this is something that I've resonated in books. So feel free to take my information with a grain of salt, but yeah, just think about it, right? A fixed mindset will fuck you over, right? Even I just read The Millionaire Secrets of the Millionaire Mind again, and he talks about it. He talks about how your mindset is what keeps you poor, right? And it's the same with having a growth mindset. If you have a growth mindset, you're going to expect obstacles, right? You're going to expect it to be hard. You're going to expect to have some turnarounds from it. You might even have some failures, right? You're going to have not might, you will have some failures, right? That's just part of the game. But you have to see it in the sense like, okay, I didn't do well, or I suck at this, or something didn't work out for me, or this is very hard, or this is very overwhelming, right? But you have to see like the fine lining behind it, right? Like maybe I had to fail in this, right? Because the failure is what makes me stronger, right? And then that's a form of a fixed mindset, right? If you think about it, anything when anyone achieved anything great, right? They weren't just born great. Michael Jordan wasn't born great. Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't born the best soccer player in the world. No, he freaking probably he did a lot of work behind the scenes that you probably don't even see. He probably worked on days he didn't want to work. He was probably kicking the soccer ball days that he didn't want to kick the soccer ball, right? He probably sacrificed nights out with friends. He probably sacrificed dates with beautiful women because he wanted to perfect his craft, right? And go to the next level and become one of the greatest soccer players of his generation, right? And I'm not telling you to be a Cristiano Ronaldo, but even in fitness, right? Fitness is something that I would say I'm pretty successful in because I've stuck with it for 12 years, 12 plus years, close to that, right? But I've been doing it consistently for 12 years, right? When I first started in fitness, you would have thought, right now, you would think, oh, he came from great genetics. You know, it was easy for him, right? It was super easy for him. But it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't. You know how many freaking cold, dark days I didn't want to go to the gym or I didn't want to work out, and I went, right? And those days add up, right? Those going one day to the gym, it's not really going to change your life. Going 2 days, it's great, but go for a week, okay, it's good, but you're going to see little, like minimal, little progress, right? You'll feel better about it, definitely. Do it for a month, you'll start seeing some results. Go for 6 months, you're gonna start looking like more like a healthier version of yourself. Go for a year, more than a more than a year, you're gonna start looking completely different. You go for freaking a decade, and yeah, people are gonna ask you if you're taking steroids because I've gone people ask me those questions, and I'm like, no, I don't take steroids. But I guess that's a compliment, right? In a way, because it's yeah, it's it's the way will people wonder how did you get so fit, right? But no one sees the underlying work behind it, right? They didn't see that I've been tracking macros for like the past year. They didn't see that I stuck with fitness. I even when there was a pandemic and the gyms closed down, I still worked out at home, right? People didn't see things like that. I did calisthenics if I didn't have access to a gym, right? I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, stuff like that. But the point is, right, when I started with fitness, I was pretty frail, I was pretty skinny, I was pretty weak. I was like one of the weaker kids in school, right? I was one of the weaker kids in school. I remember I was very unathletic. I was very, I lacked confidence. I I was pretty fucking poor coordinated. I was not the best at any sport. I was not good at sports. I was just not good. I love sports, but I wasn't good at them, right? And I wasn't a jock either, right? Even though maybe I wanted to be, but I wasn't. But that's the thing. If I had a fixed mindset, I would have just been like, oh, I guess this is not meant for me, right? Oh, I suck at it, so I'll just hang up the gloves and do nothing about it. Like, no, I stuck on my fitness journey and I built from there, right? And that's the thing. Like when people tell you, oh, it's not meant for you, or, you know, you just don't have it, right? Think of when they say that, just think of what that really means, right? What it really means is that they have a fixed mindset and they're projecting it onto you. So just remember that you always have to think with a growth mindset, right? You can get good at just about anything, right? Any skill that you want to acquire, you can get good with it, but you need to freaking be able to dedicate time into it. You have to be able to do it even when you don't want to do it, right? One of my mentors told me, right? Because this is something I'm working on a business right now, right? And there were things one thing I was struggling with was consistency with it, right? And I was honest with him. I'm like, there's days I feel like shit, so I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do as much of it, or I wouldn't do any of it at all. And he says that's great, that's fine. Like it's great that you told me that, but you need to remain consistent, right? Even if even if you don't even if you don't do as much outreach, right, that day, maybe aim to do a minimum of 10 or something a day and call it a day, but remain consistent. Keep being consistent with it each day, because you will eventually get the results out of it if you remain consistent. And that's the point of having a growth mindset, because a growth mindset will allow you to stay consistent with it. And it will also, if you deal with, like failures, you deal with struggle, you're going to start realizing, oh, okay, this is part of it, right? This is supposed to be hard. This is supposed to be a struggle. This is supposed to be I'm supposed if I failed, oh, it's not supposed to be easy, right? And I know. I'm not going to tell you to be some blind overly positive guy that smells flowers and and manifests his destiny. That's not what I'm telling you to do. Do not do that. And if you do that, I'm not telling you don't do that, but I'm telling you don't just do that, right? Like actually take action, right? But when you have a growth mindset, it allows you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. Like you're going to start problem solving your way out of the hole that you're in, right? Or out of the shitty life that you're in, and you or the life that you desire to get, right? Or the results, right? Fitness, whatever it is. And another thing that it slipped my mind, but I guess I'll have to make another video when it comes back to my mind. But another thing that I wanted to mention with the growth mindset is when it comes to when it comes to it, right? It also you also have to watch out like what you consume, right? The things that you like really focus on, right? It's okay. Like I listen, sometimes I get sick. I get very sick of self-improvement content. I get sick of, reading all the books. I do. Even I do. I get sick of it. I get tired of, oh, let me work 80 hours a day and grind, bro. Just keep grinding. And this is what I like about Mark Manson. He has a big YouTube following. He also is the author of the subtle art of not giving a fuck, and he basically like calls it out. He says grinding 24/7, that's not really realistic. That's not something that everyone does, right? And sometimes I think these creators lie about it. They say it just to because it sells. I guess it gets more views and it sounds makes them sound like a freaking beast. But yeah, when it comes to that, I do enjoy watching some sports sometimes, like watching highlights. I don't have a TV, so watching highlights, watching clips of movies just to like reset my mind. But I don't consume negative shit. Like I don't consume, like I hear things about politics. Like I do love history, so that's something I really pay attention to because I do like history, but when it comes to like politics, like modern politics and the left or the right, people tell me, "Why are you paying attention to the news? You hear what's going on?" And they're getting very like emotional. And it's distracting. It's something that it's not going to support me and my goals. It's just going to be another thing that's going to distract me, right? So I focus on the right things, right? I'll focus. That's why I love reading books. That's why I love watching the right content on YouTube. I like watching the right things. I like listening to the right piece of content, right? Because if you focus on negative shit, you focus on people complaining. I hate even watching like sports debates where people are constantly complaining. I hate those shit because I get it, negativity. We have a negativity bias, so I guess that's why they do it because they understand human psychology. Because humans respond better to negativity than they do to positivity. But if you just cut that shit out, right, and I'm not even telling you to be a positive person. I'm telling you just not to be a negative person or not to focus on negative things, right? And not to associate with negative people, right? And if you have to be around those negative people, keep the conversations very minimal. But you just have to be very mindful of what goes into your mind, right? Because if you don't, people's fixed mindsets can pollute your own mind, right? Because humans, we're all contagious. We're tribal creatures. We all take what's around us, right? So you have to make sure you're consuming the right things. So you stay in the same mindset, right? So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'm gonna keep creating more. I'm gonna keep creating more stuff. If you guys have anything that you guys want me to cover, you guys want me to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comments. Subscribe and take care.